is ready to graduate. What happens? There's nobody to tell me. So how am I going to know, and what am I going to do, and what does that process look like? So let's kind of start there with the whole little graduate. So this is my 20th year with HomeLife Academy, and it's crazy. So I've got 4 that I have graduated from homeschool, 3 from HomeLife Academy, as well as I've graduated 3 grandkids from HomeLife Academy. I've got other grandkids enrolled with HomeLife Academy, and y'all, I've got great grandkids. I've got a great grandchild enrolled with HomeLife Academy. And one is 1-year-old, but she totally plans to homeschool. We've got a 2-year-old granddaughter who they're going to homeschool her. I've got 2 granddaughters in Alaska and Anchorage, and they homeschool. So yeah, you know what? It's a family thing. It is such a family thing, just like Joseph homeschooling, and now here he is with HomeLife Academy. So it's wonderful. And you know, so I feel like sometimes the wise one, kind of tongue in cheek sometimes, but you know, I feel like I've seen it all, I've done it all. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Believe you me, it's not going to be the first time we've ever heard that. So we are going to have fun just interacting with you and answering all your questions.
Super, thank you, Lani. Mona, why don't we move to you next?
Sure, great. I am Mona Housman, and I am in East Tennessee, and I have had my kids have both graduated from high school, but recently, and so and they have a broad background. We dipped our feet in lots of different things. So we homeschooled, like at home. We did tutorials, we did online school, we even did private schools, and then for college, you know, state schools and different things. So we're all over the place as far as like what we were doing and what we were trying to figure out. So I'm one of the 12th grade counselors, and hopefully, it looks like we have some folks from South Africa, which is so great. Love that. Lots of people from Tennessee. Hopefully you'll all find your way into the chat box down at the bottom of your screen to put in where you're from and maybe what your student's path is even. You know, we'll have lots of life choice students, certainly lots of students who are planning to go to a 4-year university potentially, or a 2-year college, maybe straight into career, any of that. Just let us know where you're coming from. There will be hopefully lots of interaction in this in our time together, but also hop over to the chat box, which is a different place on your screen, to put in some starter questions just to kind of get the ball rolling for us there, and then we're happy to help however you want.
Super, thank you, Mona. Rebecca, how about we move on to you next?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Sardella, and I live in Eastern Tennessee, and I am the newest member of the counseling team at HomeLife Academy. I joined the team last May, so I am definitely learning from those with much more experience than I in terms of serving our HomeLife families. But we are a lifetime homeschool family. I have one daughter. She's a sophomore in high school, and we have homeschooled her through her entire educational journey, and good Lord willing, we will finish her out as a homeschooler. And so homeschooling has always been a passion for my husband and I, and it was something we decided really early on that we were going to do for our family, no matter how small or large it was. And I'm just really tickled to have the opportunity to minister to our HomeLife Academy families in the same way that HomeLife Academy ministered to our family when we were members of the school as well. So I'm just so happy to be here. And I primarily do recommendation letters, work with students who want to go to governor's schools. And eventually I'll be working with students who want to go to military academies. And so those are kind of my specialty areas, but I also work as just kind of a general counselor, answering questions about homeschooling in general and the high school journey in particular. So I'm just really pleased to be here and to be part of this panel.
Super. Thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate that introduction. And last but not least, we have Marta, who is joining us here. Marta, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm glad to be with you all this afternoon. I'm going to be kind of lurking in the background. I am more of an 11th grade counselor, but I work a lot with 12th graders who would be looking at the kind of paths that aren't the two big traditional paths. So trade school, enlisting in the military, or going straight to a career. Oh gosh, I could list so many wonderful stories I've heard. Taking over a farm, learning the family trade, learning the family business. So if you have those kind of things, you feel like probably nobody, maybe they haven't talked about this. I am here and love to hear your stories and love to talk to you about those things. So I'll be in the background and we'll make sure we get out links and things like that to you at the end. But any questions you have in the chat box or in the question and answer, probably better for questions, we'll be here to answer them. So I'm here, but I wanted to introduce myself. So I'm glad to meet all of you.
Super. Thanks so much, Marta. All righty. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions in the box yet. So for anyone that's just joining, please feel free to put your questions in the question and answer box down at the bottom. But Lani, what are some examples of a question that you've gotten before from a senior that maybe you could address?
Okay, I see some of these that are saying that their senior is either going to take a gap year or not go to college necessarily. It looks like there are several that are not college bound. So when we think about seniors, lots of times the webinars seem to be focused on college bound students because there's so much that's going on, right, Rebecca? I mean, there's all the recommendation letters and there's the applications and the scholarships and everything. However, we wanted this webinar to be a little bit different, where the moms whose seniors weren't doing those kinds of things, like this one right here, who is she? Oh yeah, that was just a question. So I see some of these so let's just talk just a little bit, and I'm going to pull Mona in on is there a specific time to graduate my child? Is there a specific time we have to be done? Like a question we get, since grade reporting is due by June 15th, we get moms who think, oh my gosh, I've got to graduate my child by June 15th. What about, can they go through the summer? Can they go another year? And how gap year would affect going to college and scholarships. So I want to address some of these. And also, Mona, if you could just kind of walk us through, since this is your specialty, how a parent knows when their child is ready to graduate. Like, how do I know when the kid's ready to graduate? What happens? There's nobody to tell me. So how am I going to know? And what am I going to do? And what does that process look like? So let's kind of start there with the whole little graduation process.
Okay, so in general, senior year, whatever that looks like for your particular student's path, in general, you're trying to meet the goal of the 22 credits for graduation, and those are posted on our website. But in general, college bound students a lot of times have more than 22 credits, and that's fine. You don't necessarily have to be ready to graduate the minute your student hits that 22 mark, and you don't necessarily have to panic if your student is not there yet, and needs additional time. We are happy to work with individual families. If you're trying to figure out your path, if your student is not quite clear on an exact, timeline, that's fine. It's fine. And it varies, of course, from state to state, what the recommendations are if you are trying to do things quickly. We do have some students who are just chomping at the bit to graduate after, maybe 3 years of high school, and different states have different standards for those students. And so we try to work with you, to figure that out as we go. But there are ways to accomplish those goals, especially if your student is really doing some, a particular goal or path or career or college plan or, travel travel arrangements are coming into place, and so we can work with you to try to figure out what works best for your particular student. But in general, 12th grade, during what we are seeing, when we see what you put in Apple Core as your education plan, we're going to take a look at that 12th grade fall semester for each of our, seniors. We're going to look at that and send you our counselor comments and observations to let you know if your student is on track for graduation. It looks like everything's good to go unless something changes, then you let us know, or you're just not ready to request a diploma. That is on you to request the diploma wherever that falls in the student's senior year. It might be December if your student is finished. It might be May if you're working around a graduation ceremony in your area. It might be summer, and that's okay. So, but we will in the fall semester. So at some point, August through, December, we will send you by email an overview, a graduation review, letting you know if your student is on track or if we see some gaps, some missing credits, some corrections that need to be made to avoid confusion on the final transcript. And so I'll just share my screen real quick, I didn't mean to mute myself. I'm so sorry. So I'll share screen real quick so you can see where to look for. So your senior, if you are all graduating seniors this year, in theory, you will have already gotten a 12th grade graduation review in your email. If it went to your junk mail folder, your spam folder, go find it, but also it's always available for viewing in Apple Core. And so I'm going to share my screen with you real quick and just walk you through one of our students so that you'll see and you'll be able to hop into, log in to your my HLA account, go into Apple Core and follow me there, or however you need to find this for yourself. So let me see if I can share screens. So here is, let's see. Are you able to see my screen? Can you nod? Okay, great. All right. So Frodo here is here's his Apple Core. You should know how to get there for sure. When you go in, typically you're going to view and report grades. Right. So here you'll see just real quick, as soon as we do that transcript review and spot check in your account for your student, we'll put in this line, something like this, that says 22-23 for the current school year, on track for graduation. So Frodo is on track. That's your quick way of saying that he's on track. In his case, it looks like he was doing a 5-year plan. So potentially he could have graduated in the 21-22 school year. He had another 12th grade year there, but he had action needed. There was a line here letting you know that it looks like there's a missing final grade, maybe a credit value. Scrolling down a little ways, it even looks like he never put, mom or dad never put in the personal finance final grade there. And then US history doesn't have a credit value down here. So here's a little red button here that says needs review. So you can scroll through, anytime you're in your account, and you can see kind of if we've tried to communicate with you in quick ways that your student may be missing something or may need to clean something up before requesting a transcript or a diploma. Those are some quick ways. And then the more formal way here, back out where Frodo's name is, the graduation review. That's what I was referring to, that we will send to you in an email during fall semester of senior year. But graduation review, when you click on that, there are 2 options, 2 green buttons. One is the current credit summary, which is always helpful. And every time you put in a grade or a credit value or in more information, it's going to update for you like in real time. So when you click on that, it's going to show you basically an overview of the credits required, the ones completed, and the credits still needed. So in Frodo's case, it looks like he's still working on, I think this is probably that US history that doesn't have a credit value in there for him. And then he needs that personal finance final grade. And then you can see quickly a detailed summary even, of all the things needed or completed. This is what your graduation review, looks like. But you can also go back and see, let's see, I'm going to click on a counselor comments. Now this is super helpful right here. If there are any bits of recommendations or little bits of tips or just, a reassurance, this has been completed, you're good to go, you're going to see that here. So for instance, here in this top, you'll see the English, all the English credits, just 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, all completed. But I also here, I did this one, put this counselor note. And this is your reassurance. It looks like Frodo is on track for graduation. That's what we're all looking for, right? So, and then additional notes towards the end of review. So I'm just going to scroll down and see what else has my counselor said. Oh, action needed. So physical science course. Oh, looks like a duplicate error right here. So just, this is where you go through with your counselor, you know, comments here with a fine tooth comb, any little thing that we see that would have stands out to us, and we are looking on behalf of either someone in a college, you know, that's looking for admissions purposes, you know, what they're going to see as missing or incomplete, or potentially, you know, if you've requested a transcript to be sent to a particular, you know, job application or situation, you know, they would get a similar, they won't get this kind of thing, but they would be seeing those gaps, those inconsistencies, and we want to catch those before they ever get them. And so anyway, then if you will, just be diligent, slide all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see another reminder. This is not an official transcript. This is just between you and me, you know, as the counselor, but here's your encouraging bit of information. You know, upon completion of corrections and current in progress courses, Frodo will be ready to graduate. And then it's going to explain a little bit, you know, the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade credits are complete and they're ready to be locked down. That's great. So that is, you can breathe a sigh of relief. If we are saying, you know, for the most part, everything's locked down in good shape, even if a few corrections need to be made, you can reach out. I can make them for you. I'm happy to help. But then here's your key. When final grades and attendance are entered in Apple Core at the end of the school year, that's when you request a diploma or final transcript to be sent. And you do that in your request manager. And here is your link. And you're going to go to this link at the end of the year right there. It'll take you straight to our website on the HomeLife Academy page. You can go, you can check it out. You can check out the 12th grader checklist. Go through one more time. Have I done everything? Just going to read all the bullet points one more time. Let me check. And then you're good to go. So, and this will always be there in your account right here, ready for you. If you forget it, if you accidentally, you can't delete it from here. If you accidentally delete your email, no worries. This is always going to be right here for you with those handy links so that you'll know what to do at the end of the year and how to request a diploma. If for some reason, like Lani was kind of talking about, you are ready to graduate early, you know, we don't really call it early if you're graduating in December. Any student that's gone through the 4 years can graduate December if they're finished, you know, or May, like we said, or summer, it's okay, you know, but if you're wanting to extend, like Lani was saying, into an additional semester or an additional year, then that would become, I would say, reach out, you know, let us know that you're wanting to do that. You'll re-enroll as usual for the next year. You'll put in another, you know, 12th grade or in a final ed plan or whatever. But we do like to help if we can to avoid confusion. Also, same thing. If you find yourself in the situation that your student is graduating after 3 years, we definitely want to touch base sooner rather than later to make sure that there's no surprises at the end of the year.
Okay, so we have a couple live questions. One of them is actually related to what you were just discussing, Mona. So I'm just going to go ahead and read that one from Emily. She said, besides turning in grades, what do we need to do to get our seniors ready to graduate? And then her son is planning on graduating early. Yeah.
Okay. So again, early, typically at HomeLife Academy, when we say graduating early, that means the student is not even 16 yet. Okay. So, or really doing some sort of unusual modified plan or whatever. So if your student is graduating before May, if that's what you mean, if they're just graduating now, it's February, senior year, we don't say that that's early. You can just go ahead and, you know, if everything looks good, if the senior graduation review has been done, you can either reach out, you know, spot check with a counselor, or just go ahead and put in a diploma request in your request manager at post attendance. If everything is in good shape, if the credits are finished and the grades are finished in the fall semester, I tip, like if it's right now, February, spring semester just started. So we wouldn't typically say add in spring grades. That shouldn't be needed. You would just assign the final credit in the fall semester as if it was completed, by January 15th, a couple of weeks ago, and request a diploma. If you have additional concerns or notes that you want to put into that diploma request, go ahead and add them. You'll put in a graduation date. If you are working around a graduation ceremony date, put that in. If you're working around a scholarship deadline, put that in. In general, I usually recommend that you not request a diploma until you've got a confirmation, if you're on the college path, until you have a confirmation from the college what your next steps will be. And then, make sure everything's in line. If you're taking the ACT, don't request a diploma just yet. Keep everything in Apple Core and just keep moving forward with wrapping up those final details, and then request a diploma when everything is in order. If it's a life choice path or a modified path, a certificate of completion, those are different scenarios, different experiences, different pathways, but still at the end of the year, the same solution, the same process. You'll still request a diploma and note what kind of diploma, if it's a certificate, if it's a modified path, special thing, if it's something unusual that you're working with as far as the deadline goes, put those notes in that diploma. And then if we see that there are maybe some concerns or missing links, we'll reach out and we'll want to set up, just to kind of confirm everything. But so Lani, what are your thoughts? Any other unusual situations, just as far as it's not really early graduation, probably we do have another set of hoops to jump through. If your student is truly graduating early, meaning they are 15 in the state of Tennessee or in other states, it varies again from state to state, but if your student is just trying to do a 3-year plan, a 4-year plan, mid-year, something like that, it's pretty much the same routine. Request a diploma and go from there.
Yeah, and usually like scholarship deadlines, college applications, all that kind of stuff, they go by the school year. Like this is the 22-23 school year. So whenever they graduate in this school year, it's going to be this school year graduation. So that's really not going to be early. We're talking about like the previous year, or altogether, or, something like kids trying to graduate in less than 3 years, which we really don't do that, but we've got some that ask sometimes. And so we have to work with that as well. Or like you said, under 16 years old, that would be special cases. And we do work with you. It's not that we don't do that, but they do require some special forms and things like that. I wanted to say something, Mona, while you had Bilbo's transcript up, because the moms can see those notes on there. They can see at the top that they're on track for graduation, and they can see that duplicate error and, all kinds of notes and stuff like that. And I just want to assure the moms that none of that is going to be on their transcript. The transcripts do not look like that. They look different, and the semesters don't show up, but the yearly grade average shows up. None of those notes are going to show up on there. The dual enrollment colleges will show up in the previous schools and things like that. But the moms just need to know that they cannot pull up a transcript. And it's not because we're trying to be mean or anything, but it's because we don't want the moms sending out transcripts when they need work and corrections have not been made, for example, or the courses are not titled like they should be, or there's all kinds of things that we can check on there. So we don't like to change the transcripts after they go out. That doesn't really reflect well on us if we do that. So we like to make sure they are the best. Now, if you want to know what it looks like, or you need to upload it for a college or a scholarship, then you can just request us to email it to you. And then you can see what it looks like. You can see what the grade point average is. If you need that, you can actually, in Apple Core, we didn't go to this, but in the summary, you can see what your students' weighted and unweighted GPA is. So you don't really even have to call us on that. You can look and see. And so if you've got honors courses or dual enrollment or something like that, then they will be weighted. So when you request a diploma, not a diploma, a transcript, it's up to you to let us know what you want on there. Like, I want the weighted GPA on there too, because it's a 4.2, and that could make a difference for scholarships. Or, I want the class rank. You can ask us for the class rank based on ACT scores. And you can also, this leads into another question, Joseph, but you can also request the portfolio. And we can talk about that in a minute with this next question. You can request all those things with or on the transcript. Just let us know.
So I just posted the web link for the guidelines for how to request a diploma. That is on our website as well. And like I said, it's in your graduation review, but I posted it in the chat box. Maybe I should have posted it in the Q&A box. I don't know. But also, there's a sample transcript on our website. You can just put in, so if you just put in, so not in Apple Core, but on HomeLifeAcademy.com, if you just put in, I'll share my screen. Well, so just put in transcript in the search bar at HomeLifeAcademy.com, and it'll pop right up. And then you can click right on Frodo's, transcript and see a sample of how that looks different than what you're seeing in Apple Core. It's very streamlined and, just exactly what other schools do for transcripts and what colleges expect and all of that. So super helpful.
Super. Thank you both so much. And yeah, I think, Lani, this is the question you were referring to. Christy asked, she said, my daughter is a senior and will be applying for some scholarships. They ask for an academic resume. What is that? What goes on it? And can HLA assist us with that?
Okay. That is a great question, Christy. And I am a huge proponent of portfolios, because they do help get scholarships. Not only that, but you've got a record for future jobs and interviews and military and things like that of what your student accomplished in high school. So that is in Apple Core. When Mona first went to Frodo's Apple Core account and clicked on the View Report Grades, it also had the portfolio next to it, and then it had that graduation or high school review. So the portfolio is actually in Apple Core. You can go in and you can post just all the activities, all the extracurriculars. That is their high school resume right there. Now, what do you do if you don't have anything in Apple Core and they want the resume? Then I suggest, if you've got one that you've been working on, and it's not in Apple Core, but you got the whole thing typed out, then you can just email that to one of us or to records@homelifeacademy.com and ask us to put that in their account. And then you can request it, for example, to go with the transcript, or just to have us send it. Or, you can send that if you have it. You can just submit that to whoever's asking for it. But if you want something to go with the transcript to a college or a certain scholarship application, it depends on what they want. If they want us to send it, we can have it in their file, or we can have it in Apple Core if you've got that, and we can send it with a transcript, or we can email it to you. Whatever it is that you need, but just know you yourself cannot pull up a transcript. We will have to email that to you, but you can pull up their resume. If it's in Apple Core, you can pull up and create a PDF for that. So if you're confused, we actually do have a sample portfolio on our website, just like Mona was saying, not in Apple Core, but on our website, we've got sample transcripts and portfolios in there. So again, just reach out if you need help with that.
Super. Thanks, Lani. Anything else to add, Mona or Rebecca?
So the link that I put in the chat, I'm thinking that we will have each of these links also connected in the bottom for those people who are going to be watching this recorded later. You'll see those web links for our website pinned or posted in the bottom of this YouTube video or however we're posting this. So no worries, but I did the same web link that takes you to the guidelines for a transcript, takes you to the guidelines for a portfolio, and it kind of compares and contrasts what each document is useful for, and you can see samples of each one. And so super helpful for those people who need that for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Mona. Appreciate that. And Lani as well. Okay. We got one more question here. We got one from Beth. She said, can we request an official transcript once the students are officially graduated for their records? And the second question related, how long does it typically take to receive a diploma once that's requested?
Yeah, oh, sure. You can request, we're your school forever. And so you can always request a transcript to be sent to you, to be sent to a college, whatever you need. In future, if you, have lost your copy or whatever, we have it. We are the location for your permanent records. And so, yes, absolutely. And the other question was what?
It was how long does it usually take for a diploma?
Oh,
Yes.
right. So that varies from depending on the time of the year. So as you can imagine, when every senior on the globe is trying to graduate in May, there's going to be a good bit of lag time. But in general, we try still, our records department is amazing. And they, as long as there are no issues, no concerns, no red flags or, missing information in Apple Core for that end of the year for that student, then they can generally get a request done in a couple of weeks tops. You can opt to pay maybe like a $15 rush fee to make that happen faster, put your name at the top of the list, whatever. If there's a particular deadline you're working around and you need that, we are happy to try to facilitate that. So put those notes into the diploma request. Let us know what kind of deadline you're working with. Pay the rush fee. Sometimes it's just worth it to have that peace of mind. That said, it comes to you by mail. It's a package with the diploma, with the transcript, with a letter. So sometimes it's dependent on your mail carrier to get it to you, physically get it to your home. And so we send you, a tracking link so that you can follow along and find out where it is, or if it gets lost, you can follow up with your mail carrier.
Super. Thanks, Mona. Anything else to add, Lani or Rebecca? All right. Well, we have a question about the ACT. Regina said that first ACT score that they took was when the student was 17, and many of the other students that were there taking the ACT were taking it for the 5th or 6th time. And so she's wondering if it's really worth it to retake the ACT to get a higher score.
Okay, I can answer that because Regina's in Tennessee. So yes, I would say that it really is worth taking it. As many times as she can now before she graduates, and try to bring the score up. But and that just helps for college admissions and things like that. The higher the score, more opportunities open up and more scholarship money opens up. Okay. But with that being said, it looks like she has been taking dual enrollment courses through Columbia State Community College. So, the way the Hope Scholarship works now, they changed it this past year, which I'm so thankful, is that our students no longer have to they no longer have to get a 21 on the ACT. They can take 2 or more dual enrollment courses, but they have to have a B average in those 2 or however many they take. They have to have it. And so as long as she's got a B average, she does qualify for the Hope. So that's good. That's scholarship money. But again, with a 17, it may limit the college that she gets into. So I would just say while they're in school, just have her take it another time or two, because like you said, she's up against kids who are taking it 5 or 6 times, and so the first time, lots of times they don't do very well. They don't know how fast it's going to go and, all that. They don't have a strategy. So yes, I would definitely say to have her take it again. And just so you know, we do rank students for scholarship applications and things like that based on ACT and SAT scores. And so that can really help them too, to have that higher class rank.
Super.
I
Oh,
would throw in that it's certainly, and I think Lani kind of hinted at this when she was saying, oh, this is a Tennessee family. It's going to vary. Those ACT or SAT or even college admissions processes all vary from area, state to state. So many times you can find out, so backing up, HomeLife Academy doesn't require any of those test scores for graduation purposes, not at all. Those were only, put into place by colleges to make sure, they have some sort of way of trying to gauge whether or not a particular student would be a good fit for their particular program. But not all colleges are going to require those. Many do, but some do not. And so that varies. And so just because it is one way at one school doesn't necessarily mean it's that way at all schools. Many, many, many times scholarships are contingent on SAT or ACT scores, but not necessarily. So again, it just really is worth exploring your options in your particular area for your particular student. Many times, like for my student in particular, one of my kiddos had pretty severe learning disabilities in a good bit of our journey throughout the school years. And she learned to cope with that. She learned to overcome a good bit of that, but she always struggled on standardized tests. So one of the things, and this is not necessarily always a helpful tidbit for senior year when you're facing graduation, because what I'm going to suggest takes some time, but investigating if your student is college bound and is trying to tackle that ACT for the purposes of scholarships, going through the accommodations process to, if there is a diagnosis, that of, then taking the time to address that and have it available can be a help. It was a help for us in our situation for sure. And my daughter, since she got a little bit of extra time because of her diagnosis on those standardized tests, she did get a better scholarship. She also had those accommodations on file at the college, and they take those very seriously. And so that helped her all the way through and just kind of diffused her anxiety level over the years. That said, for students who are not necessarily going to a four-year university or, having to jump through those Tennessee Hope scholarship hoops or whatever, sometimes you will find that there are other ways. A college might give your student just an entrance exam, a placement exam, or allow them to take some bridge classes and whatnot. So sometimes, and it varies, it varies from program to program and organization to organization. So I try to just, and Lani and Rebecca are communicating the same things, and Marta, it doesn't always come down to that magic number on the ACT, but for those very specific scholarships, Sometimes it does. And they're trying to open those up a bit more, like Lani was saying, in order to give your student another option for eligibility for those scholarships. There are more and more options, especially for your younger students who are still coming up. They might be able to take a couple of dual enrollment classes, get their feet wet in a college, prove themselves basically without having to necessarily be locked in to those ACT requirements. So talk to us, set up a counselor call with us. We are happy to help navigate that road with you.